All right, let's get right into it. If you consider yourself a focused learner trying to optimize your finances, you are exactly in the right place today. We're going to look at something that almost every single financially responsible person does, but honestly, very few actually understand. If you think you're making the smart move by parking your hard-earned emergency fund or your idle cash in a traditional or even a high-yield savings account, well, prepare to have your mind completely blown. Basically, everything you know about where to park your cash is about to be challenged in this explainer.
Let's start with a quick story to ground this. Meet Maya. Maya did everything right, totally by the book. She built up a solid 6-month emergency fund and deposited $20,000 into a traditional savings account at a big national bank. She checked her balance, felt safe, felt really responsible. But let's look at the actual numbers here. In 1 full year, her bank paid her a grand total of $76 in interest. That's, barely enough to buy a couple of decent lunches? But that exact same year, her bank took her exact same $20,000 and used it to earn over $1,200 for themselves. So Maya got $76, they kept the rest, and the craziest part is, she essentially thanked them for it, simply because she had absolutely no idea she was losing money.
Okay, let's dive into this. How exactly did Maya's bank make over $1,000 while tossing her just $76? What is the actual mechanism happening behind the scenes the literal second you click deposit on your banking app? Well, it all comes down to understanding one key thing. A bank is not a vault. It's a machine.
Now, you might be looking at Maya's situation and thinking, well, Maya's just uninformed, right? I use a high-yield account. Enter Maya's coworker, Jordan. Jordan thinks he completely outsmarted the system. He did his homework, moved his money around, and he's now earning a 4.5% APY compared to Maya's tiny 0.38%. I mean, he's earning over 10 times what Maya makes. He thinks he totally solved the problem. But as we're about to see, Jordan didn't actually fix the problem. He just negotiated a slightly better slice of a really bad pie. They are both playing the exact same game, just on 2 different tiers.
To truly understand why both Maya and Jordan are getting taken for a ride, we need to talk about a core concept called net interest margin. This is the fundamental business model of every single bank in America. They take your deposit, pay you a fraction of a percent, and then they lend that exact same money to someone else at a much higher rate. That difference, the gap between what they pay you and what they earn, that's the net interest margin. Right now, the average net interest margin for U.S. banks is 3.39%. That is the highest it's been since 2019. The bank is quite literally renting Maya's money for absolute pennies to make an absolute fortune. And the markup here is just massive. While Maya is earning an average of 0.38%, the bank takes her cash and immediately lends it out to fund new car loans at an average of 7.5%. Or, even more profitably, they lend it to credit card holders at a staggering 21% APR. That is a 20 percentage point markup. If the bank allocates even a tiny fraction of Maya's deposit toward credit card lending, the profit on that little slice alone completely dwarfs the $76 they paid her for the entire year.
But wait, it gets wilder, because the markup on loans isn't even the whole story. The bank has this whole hidden profit machine. They actually take Maya's money and buy short-term U.S. Treasury bills yielding around 3.6%. That is a massive spread for an asset Maya could have literally bought herself. But there is even more. The banking industry collects over $12 billion with a B in overdraft and service fees. They make money on interchange swipe fees when you use your debit card. They make money on the float, which is basically holding your funds for a day or two before they clear. They even package and sell your anonymized spending data. Every single one of these profit channels is built directly on top of your deposited cash.
So how does this apply to our smart friend Jordan? He thought his 4.5% high-yield savings account protected him from all this nonsense. But let's look at the reality. You've got the bold headline rate of 4.5%, right? But then you have the fine print. That advertised rate often comes with some really heavy conditions. It might be a tiered structure where, you only get 4.5% on the first $1,000 and then it completely plummets. Or maybe it's just a promotional rate that quietly drops after 90 days. Jordan is constantly being subjected to the bank's bait-and-switch tactics without even realizing it.
And then there's the tax trap. Let's break down the math here, because this is absolutely crucial. When it comes to what you actually keep at the end of the day, Maya grosses $76, pays her federal and state taxes, and walks away with about $55. Jordan? Well, he looks like a genius with a $900 gross. But here's the catch. Savings account interest is taxed as ordinary income. If he's paying, say, 22% federal and 5% state tax, he loses over a quarter of his earnings, keeping roughly $657. Now consider a Treasury ETF like SGOV. It grosses $790, which, sure, is lower than Jordan's gross, but by federal law, U.S. Treasury securities are fully exempt from state and local income taxes. So the SGOV investor pays federal tax only, keeping about $616. If you live in a high-tax state like California or New York, bypassing state taxes entirely can easily make Treasuries the vastly more profitable choice.
So the whole thing really boils down to this one crucial point. If the bank is taking your money to buy Treasury bills, earning the yield, and then paying you just a fraction of it, why don't you just buy the Treasury bills yourself? Jordan's 4.5% high-yield account isn't the finish line. It's really just a slightly better seat inside the exact same middleman machine that's exploiting Maya.
This is exactly why so many financial educators point to direct Treasury investments like the SGOV ETF. It directly tracks actual market-driven Treasury auctions. The yield is completely transparent, so no promotional rates, no bait and switch. As we just saw, it's fully exempt from state and local taxes. And most importantly, it cuts out the bank middleman entirely. You are keeping the yield minus a microscopic 0.09% annual fee.
All right, so how do we actually do this? Here is a clear, highly actionable 3-step strategy you can use right now. Step 1, keep your checking account. Actually, let me be clear, we are not saying to stuff your cash under a mattress and abandon banks completely. You still need a functional hub to pay your daily bills and your rent, right? Step 2, identify your strictly idle cash. This is that emergency fund or maybe a house down payment that's just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. Step 3, move that idle cash into a direct Treasury option to cut out the middleman. You're just changing where your money sits, not how you spend it.
Now, for that third step, you generally have 2 fantastic routes. First, you can use a Treasury ETF like SGOV. You literally buy it just like a stock in your standard brokerage app, Schwab, Fidelity, Robinhood, whatever you already use. It's highly liquid and the price stays incredibly stable. Or, alternatively, you have treasurydirect.gov. This is the ultimate pure version of cutting out the middleman. You buy straight from the U.S. government website, no brokerages, 0 fees. It's slightly less liquid because you commit to a specific maturity date, but hey, if you don't need instant access, it is an incredibly powerful tool.
Now, I know exactly what some of you are thinking right now. You're wondering about the absolute biggest question of all. But what about my FDIC insurance? And I get it. People absolutely cling to their savings accounts because they love the comfort of that government guarantee on their deposits. It feels like the ultimate safety net for sure.
But here's the absolute kicker. Treasury bills are debt issued by the exact same U.S. federal government that backs the FDIC. When you move your money out of a bank savings account and into treasuries, you are not giving up your safety at all. You are simply moving from a government guarantee on your bank to lending directly to that very same government. The default risk is essentially 0 because, well, you're lending to the entity that literally prints the money.
Okay, so safety is totally handled. But then the second major objection inevitably pops up. You're probably asking, well, what if I need instant access to my cash? What if my car completely breaks down or I have a massive medical emergency tonight? This specific fear is exactly why people leave tens of thousands of dollars sitting in accounts earning practically nothing.
But the reality is, in a true emergency, waiting 1 to 2 business days for funds to settle is almost always totally fine. I mean, let's be brutally honest with ourselves for a second. When was the last time you needed exactly $20,000 in physical cash within 60 seconds? In almost every real-world emergency, you just swipe your credit card immediately, and then you sell your ETF the next morning. The cash settles a day or 2 later, right in time to pay off the card. The hundreds of dollars in extra yield you make the rest of the year is way more than worth that tiny theoretical wait.
So it all comes down to this powerful idea. The smartest move isn't finding a better savings account, it's asking why you need one at all. True financial optimization isn't about hopping from one 4% bank promo to another 4.5% bank promo. It's about understanding the actual mechanics of the financial system, questioning the products we just blindly accept, and taking direct control to keep those profits for yourself.
If this explainer opened your eyes to the massive machinery operating right beneath your deposit slips, it's time to take action. Subscribe to Wealth Logic. We're completely dedicated to breaking down the hidden math behind the everyday financial decisions you face, bringing you the clarity you actually need to keep your money working for you and not the middleman. Before you click away from this explainer, just ask yourself, how much of your own wealth are you willing to donate to your bank this year? Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.